In today's video, we are going to be sharing a step-by-step plan for how you can plan for the life that you want. Hi, I'm Tasha.
And I'm Joseph with One Big Happy Life. We make videos about how to find balance, build wealth, and live happy. Everything that you need to make the life that you want.
So today, we are being really literal with that because we're going to be talking about how to plan your life. And if you're new to the channel, you may not know this, but Joseph and I are huge planners. We're all about structuring our lives and tweaking our lives as we go along so that we're creating a life that gets closer and closer to our ideal lives. And that includes everything from where we live, the kind of work we do, how often we work from home, the amount of money that we make. All of that is in our life plan.
And we are constantly doing it. We're never done because we always have new goals and ambitions.
And by the way, if you aren't following us over on Instagram, you totally should, because that is where we share more of our intimate day-to-day life stuff and where we do deep dives and answering questions over in our stories that we can't always get to here to make a whole video on. So head on over to Instagram and follow us at One Big Happy Life.
All right, let's start planning the life that you want. First off, you are going to want to brainstorm and come up with all the things that you want in your life, because how else will you know how to get there?
And in particular, we'd like you to get a piece of paper and actually write this down. Really get a vision for you 3 to 5 years from now. And we say 3 to 5 years because 3 to 5 years is really just enough time for you to completely overhaul what your life looks like. It's amazing what you can accomplish in that short amount of time. So what we want to do is have you just sit down, close your eyes, and imagine where you are 3 to 5 years from now and where you want to be.
And so think about, who's around you, where you're living, what kind of career you have, because 3 to 5 years, that's enough time to switch careers even. And so really think about what's going to make you happy and what that ideal life is going to look like in 5 years.
And we go back and forth about this, and I think sometimes we have a hard time deciding, for example, exactly where we want to live. Is there this mythical place that meets all of our requirements? And so one thing that you might want to do, if you're like us, and there are multiple different scenarios that you could see working for you, you might want to jot down, what do you know won't work for you? Because sometimes it's easier for us to identify the things that we don't want so we can at least stay away from that than it is to pick from many options that we think that we might want.
So that'll help you narrow it down to figure that out. Another thing that will help you prioritize is kind of taking a look back in your past to see what worked for you and what didn't work for you. Because I'm sure as you've grown up, just like we have, we've learned from, let's not call them mistakes, but let's call them things we would have done differently.
Yeah, definitely don't call them mistakes. I am totally anti the mistakes word. That should be like banned from the dictionary. We all do the best that we can with the information that we have. And it's only in hindsight that we can look back and call it a mistake, which means that it wasn't a mistake in the first place. We're just, looking back on our past very critically. So they weren't mistakes. They're just feedback. They're life feedback. So look at that feedback and really take time to learn what it is telling you so that you don't continue to put yourself in the same sorts of situations.
One thing that we learned is that we are not really apartment people. We've lived in apartments while we were going to school, and then we had time in houses, and then when we moved, we spent some time in an apartment. And it was okay at best, but we definitely like having a yard. We like having a dog, and it's a lot easier if you have a yard. And now that we have kids, we are just not apartment people. Now that you've taken a look at the past, take an assessment of what is currently going on in your life. So think about things that are making you really, really happy. I always like to start there. The big things that you enjoy or that are going really, really well for you or your family. And then also take note of anything that is causing you friction that you might want to change going forward. So This will help you identify the things that you need to protect or improve on, those things that are making you happy, and then also whatever those friction points are. So for us right now, I know our commute is a huge, huge friction point for us.
And when you're looking at what you like and what you don't like, try to think about why you don't like it, because it can be too easy to just think, like, say for a job, for example, you might feel like you hate your job, but ask yourself what it is about your job in particular that you don't like. Is it the coworkers? Is it the assignments that you receive? Is it the lack of autonomy? And so that way, when you're looking to create your plan to get you where you want to go, you're not just jumping from job to job, but you're jumping from where you are, looking for specific things to improve to make your life better.
Then categorize all those goals that you came up with into how long it's going to take to achieve them. So you have some short term, some 1 year goals, and then those longer term 5 years. And you might have come up with a lot of maybe even longer term goals than that, 10 years or more than 10 years. And that's okay, because you always want to have a little bit of guidance where you're going to end up long time down the road, like for retirement, those kinds of things. And the reason that this is important is that it helps you prioritize which goals you need to be knocking off first. If it's just one big long list, they might seem like they're all equally important and urgent. Like you've got to take care of all of them right now, and that can be very overwhelming. And that is exactly the opposite of what this is supposed to do.
So to give a clear example of that, so we have shorter term goals like having a child this year, and we will likely be using IVF almost inevitably. And so that's a goal that we have that also has like a dollar sign attached to it that we need to focus on. But then we have these massive long-term goals, which would be to retire and have enough in retirement to live a very comfortable life where we can travel and stuff like that. So not just like a bare bones retirement. But we need to start that now. So we have money going towards that and money going towards IVF. But one of our sort of intermediate goals that are probably about 5 or 10 years away is that Joseph wants to climb Kilimanjaro. Well, that's on the radar, but it's like way, way out there. So we haven't even started saving for that yet, because that's not going to be part of our primary focus right now, but it is on our life bucket list. And so we do kind of skim it over and look and kind of plan, well, maybe we'll start working on this right around when Joseph hits 40. So we still have another, how many years? How many years? 5,
No.
6, 7 years, something.
10.
And so then we'll start focusing on that goal. So that's why it's good to attach a timeline to your goals and both the start and the end date so that it's easier for you to prioritize.
Now that you have your list of goals prioritized by how long it's going to take you to achieve them, start looking really at those 5 year goals, because they're going to really determine how you end up going far into the future, and they're probably going to take some steps in between to reach them. So take a look at those first.
So with your 5-year goals, you're going to want to break them down into the steps that you need to take to get there. This is where the planning really comes into place. So to give you an example, when we decided that, so I knew that I wanted to get a new job. Actually, when we started this channel back in 2016, you can go back and look at those vlogs when I was job hunting, but I absolutely hated my job. And I knew that I wanted a new job, but because of the things that I hated in that job, I knew the specific kind of job that I wanted and what industry I wanted to work in. And so then I just created sort of the next steps. So this is what I need to do to find the job. This is how many job applications I need to do every single week. And also, this is what I need to do to take my mind off of this job that I absolutely hate, which turned out to be making YouTube videos, which now, even though I'm in a job that I really enjoy, years later, we're still doing. So, but once you have a plan in place, it breaks down those goals and makes it feel so much more achievable, because all you're doing is taking one small action on a regular basis to get there.
And you should break it down even further, because you want this to be really, really simple, to nudge yourself to just make it without even thinking about it. You're going to achieve these goals. So take it to a monthly goal, a weekly goal, and even daily goals. And so what that's going to be is changing a habit that is going to help you achieve the next step and the next step. So let's say that you want to lose some weight and you eat out a lot. So your daily goal might be something as simple as, well, I am not going to get lunch at the cafeteria anymore or the restaurant across the street. I'm going to start taking my lunch. Well, that's a daily habit that is going to pay off long-term on your weekly goal and monthly goal. And then in a year, what do you know? You've lost 20 pounds.
And so, like Joseph mentioned, using Joseph's example, so he's talking about not eating out and that you need to pack your lunch, right? So then now what you know you need to pack your lunch. So your next step is to figure out, well, how can I make sure that I'm packing my lunch every single week? How can I make success inevitable? And then that's how you change your day-to-day life to set yourself up for success. Now, the other thing about your 1-year goals to keep in mind is those are not just the short-term goals that happen within 5 years. Because remember earlier, you put down a timeline for when you need to start the goals and when they finish. So for example, retirement, which is basically the most long-term goal of all, can take up to 30 years, depending on what path you take to get there, in order to reach that goal. But you need to start now. And so with your retirement goals, okay, 30 years, you know, you're going to calculate how much you need over the course of those 30 years. And then you're going to work backwards to say, okay, if I want to get to here in 30 years, where do I need to start in year 1, which is this year? How much do I need to save every month? And then what behaviors do I need to change in my daily life to make success inevitable?
Now that you've got your plan in place and you are moving forward with it, don't just set it and forget it. You need to periodically take a look at how you're achieving your goals. And are you hitting those milestones? Because if you're not hitting those milestones, then you need to change up whatever is going on to make sure that you get back on the track. Or if it's something that you decided you don't want, X that off the list and then come up with something new.
And I really want to focus in on what Joseph said about deciding that it's something that you don't want. That is totally okay. And that's something that people actually reach out to us about a lot, because especially with the 1-year spending plan. And if you don't have one of those, we'll drop a link to our 1-year spending plan template that you can download and use for yourself. But they say, well, what do you do if things change? The answer is you just tweak your plan. None of this is supposed to be this rock solid thing that you can't shift or move out of. In fact, we really encourage you to change, right? To reevaluate, to say, you know what? I thought this was going to work, but it actually kind of sucks and I'd rather do something else. That's how you make sure that your life stays on track, not by staying on a set rigid path, but by course correcting as you get more information. That way you don't wake up, later on in life and have like a midlife crisis because your life looks nothing like how you want it to be. You have a chance to prevent that and correct that now.
As you're tracking all of that, make sure you're celebrating those accomplishments, even if they're small. If you want to celebrate daily, more power to you, because that's just going to make you happier in your life as you're achieving these goals. So always celebrate. And then the very last step is to bask in the glory of all the success because you planned your life and you've reached it.
No, it really does feel so good when you're living your life in accordance with your own values and what you want out of your life versus what other people tell you that you want, which is why we always push you to create individualized plans for what you want your life to look like and spend time thinking about what matters to you, what you find to be meaningful, where the value lies, and then you invest in that and leave everything else off to the side because it really doesn't matter to you. It doesn't bring you joy.
Yeah, and I just want to add that it doesn't matter how old you are, how much money you're making, whatever it is, whatever your potential roadblock is, anything like that. And so you're saying, oh, well, I don't know if I can do that. You absolutely can. Like, it might take some time for you to reach goals and change what's going on, but it is truly possible. And so, believe in yourself that you're going to be able to do that.
All right, guys, that's it for today's video. And we will see you, Wednesday, for a video on how we built our 6-figure business. So we'll see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.